The day before we were set to apply for our marriage license on Valentine's Day, I got a text from my fiancée. Clara was in a car accident and disfigured. Her only dying wish is to marry me in a wedding dress. I have to go through with the ceremony for her first. We'll push the license back 6 months. You explain it to the family. I stared at the message and smiled. For 3 years, he'd carefully picked out every bit of onion and cilantro I wouldn't eat, and raced home to me every thunderstorm night. Everyone thought the man who'd left me stranded in a blizzard for his first love had finally turned over a new leaf. I only sent one word back. Fine. Almost at the same time, his first love posted a new Instagram update. The photo showed 2 hands laced together, set against an ivory wedding floral backdrop. The caption read, "After all this time, all I have to do is lean in, and he'll still hand me the whole world." His buddies all liked it in the comments. Not a single one of them saw anything wrong with it. I liked the post too, then cancelled our wedding reception and blocked every one of his contact methods. "Are you sure you don't want to hold the reservation slot?" The venue coordinator asked again on the other end of the line, sounding thoroughly confused. I stood in the wings of the theater, the glow of my phone screen lighting up my face. "I'm sure. Release it immediately." "But Ms. Marsh, Valentine's Day books up fast. If you just want to reschedule, we can hold it for you until next year." "No need." I cut her off, my tone as calm as if I were confirming tomorrow's weather. "Keep the deposit if you have to. But from today on, don't hold any dates for me ever again." When I hung up, a new message popped up on my screen. It was from his mother. "Ellie, your dad told me you cancelled the reception? Did something go wrong at work? Is the license appointment tomorrow getting pushed back too?" I stared at the message for a few seconds. So he hadn't even told his family the truth. He'd told me to explain things to the elders, but he'd already washed his hands of all responsibility. I didn't text back. I called her directly. "Ms. Reed, the wedding's off." There was a 2-second pause on the other end. "Off? Ellie, don't be ridiculous. We're supposed to get the license tomorrow. Why all of a sudden?" "Ask him for the details." "I'm at work. I have to go." I hit end call and left the family group chat for both sides. My phone buzzed again, his mother calling back. I didn't answer. It buzzed a few more times before finally going silent. I turned and walked to center stage. Only the queue lights glowed in the dark. This was the last show I'd run at this theater. 2 weeks prior, the producer of an international touring company had reached out to me. It was a 3-month project, stopping in 12 cities. I'd turned it down back then, because he said we were getting married soon, and long stretches out of town wouldn't work. Looking back now, the producer's tone had been odd during that call. She'd said, "Ms. Marsh, we brought this project up to you before. Didn't you say you wanted to think it over?" I'd blinked in confusion. "Before? I never got an invitation like that." There was a pause on the other end of the line. Must have been a miscommunication. "Well, if you're free now, would you like to talk about it again?" I'd politely declined, saying a long-term project really wasn't a good fit for me. Now I understood. It hadn't been a miscommunication. Someone had made the decision for me. I took a deep breath and sent the touring company a message. "Is the spot for that tour you mentioned still available?" They wrote back quickly. "It's still open, but we can only hold it until 6 p.m. the day after tomorrow. You'll need to confirm soon." I glanced at the time. 6 p.m. the day after tomorrow. That was the same time he was having his wedding for Clara. I stared at the message and smiled slowly. I didn't reply right away, because I still needed to confirm one thing. I needed to know how much of his kindness these past 3 years had been real care, and how much had just been his habit of controlling everything. When all the house lights went out, I stood alone at the control booth. My finger rested on the cue light switch, but I didn't press it. I'd thought I'd fully gotten over that blizzard 3 years ago. We'd been supposed to drive back to his hometown together to meet his parents. Halfway there, Clara called, saying she was lost out in the country and her phone was dying. He'd turned the car around without a second thought, and left me at a highway rest stop. Ellie, go with the staff. I'm the only one who knows how to find Clara. The snow's bad. She's all alone out there, it's dangerous. I couldn't speak back then. Not out of jealousy, but out of fear. The forecast said the blizzard would last late into the night, and the highway could close at any minute. But he hadn't hesitated. I waited at the rest stop for 6 hours, watching the snow pile up outside, watching the highway signs go dark one by one. In the end, a crew car passing by gave me a ride back into the city. It was 3 in the morning by the time I got home. He'd texted to say he'd found Clara and was taking her to the hospital. I'd texted back okay, then broken up with him. He'd gone radio silent for an entire day. The next afternoon, he showed up at my door. No excuses, no arguments. Just, I know I messed up. Give me time. Let me prove you matter more than anyone. And then came 3 years of making it up to me. He started memorizing all my habits. He'd leave special notes on every takeout order, no onions or cilantro. He'd rush home every time it thundered, because he knew I was afraid. He'd wait for me at the theater after every single show. He'd even publicly owned up to what he'd done that day in the blizzard. In front of both our families and friends, he said he'd acted impulsively and almost lost the person who mattered most. Everyone said he'd truly changed. I'd believed it too. Until today. I flipped on the cue light. Its dim glow fell across the empty stage. 3 years ago, he'd left me in the blizzard because Clara was in more danger. 3 years later, he was asking me to push back our wedding because Clara still came first. The only difference was, 3 years ago, I would have cried. I would have demanded to know why. 3 years later, I only sent one word back. Fine. Because I finally understood. He loved me, but he loved being the hero who saved everyone more. And I would always be the one he could soothe last. My phone buzzed. It was a follow-up note from the tour producer. Ms. Marsh, this project is extremely demanding. Once you confirm, you can't drop out mid-tour. Please think it over carefully. Also, check-in for the first city is 9 a.m. the day after tomorrow. 9 a.m. the day after tomorrow. 9 hours before his wedding. I stared at the line of text, my finger hovering over the reply box. The cue light on stage flickered once, then went out. I stood in the dark for a long time. Finally, I unlocked my phone and hit accept on the confirmation page. The system instantly generated a detailed itinerary and contract. 3 months. 12 cities. Not a single stop would bring me back here. I locked my phone and turned away from the control booth. The theater's exit sign was still lit, pointing the other way. I didn't look back. Ellie, I know you're in there. His voice carried from outside the wings. I was going over the last of the technical paperwork with my replacement stage manager. I glanced up at the door, then went back to flipping through the checklist in my hands. Backup power switches for lights 1 through 12 are here. The audio emergency protocols are in this folder. The new manager took careful notes, completely unaware of the man outside. And the backup prompter password is on this sheet. Don't lose it. No sooner had I finished speaking than he pushed the door open and walked in. A flustered theater staff member trailed behind him, looking apologetic. I'm sorry, stage manager Marsh. He said it was urgent. It's fine. I cut her off and handed the folder to the new manager. Go get familiar with the equipment first. Come find me if you have questions. When everyone was gone, I turned to him. What are you doing here? He looked tired. You blocked me. Yeah. And you cancelled the reception. Yeah. Ellie, I know you're upset, but just let me explain. No need. I cut him off. I'm not upset. Go have the wedding with Clara. I get it. He blinked, then let out a breath of relief. I knew you'd understand. Clara's in really bad shape right now. The doctors say she has severe trauma, and if this wish doesn't come true, she might. So you decided to give her what she wants first. Right. But Ellie, you have to believe me, it's just a ceremony. The legal marriage will still be yours. He stepped closer, reaching for my hand. I stepped back half a step. We'll still get the license in 6 months. I'll rebook the reception, make it even bigger, even fancier. Don't bother. What? I said no rescheduling. No rebooking. Nothing. His face went stiff, then twisted into a bitter smile. Ellie, I know you're hurt, but don't say things you don't mean. Just then, his phone rang. Clara's name lit up the screen. He hesitated, then answered. Yeah, I'm just handling something. I'll be back soon. Okay, don't worry. When he hung up, he looked at me. Clara's really nervous. She doesn't want to be around a lot of strangers, so we want to use the small hall at your theater for the wedding. I already talked to your manager about it. I said nothing. Just tomorrow afternoon, 2 hours tops. It won't mess with your rehearsals. It will. What? Tomorrow afternoon is our final full technical rehearsal. The schedule's locked. It can't be changed. He frowned. Ellie, it's just 2 hours. Clara's really fragile right now. What does that have to do with me? Even I was a little surprised when the words left my mouth. He was completely caught off guard. Ellie, I have work to do. You should go. I turned to leave. He grabbed my wrist. You've changed. Yeah. You weren't like this before. You were kind, considerate. I also never got stood up the day before I was supposed to get a marriage license before. He let go, his face darkening. So this is how you're getting back at me? You won't even let Clara use the space for a little while? I looked him in the eye. I'm not getting back at you. I'm doing my job. Tomorrow's rehearsal can't be cancelled. If you want the space, wait until the day after tomorrow. But Clara's wedding is over by the day after tomorrow. Even better. No scheduling conflict then. He took a deep breath, fighting to keep his temper. I don't want to fight, Ellie. When I'm done with Clara's stuff, we'll talk properly. There's nothing to talk about. What's that supposed to mean? I didn't answer, because my phone buzzed. It was the check-in address from the tour team. He saw me glance down at my phone. He sighed. I know you're not listening right now. It's fine. I'll wait until you've cooled off. With that, he turned and left. He glanced back at me from the doorway. Ellie, in 6 months, I'll make up for everything I owe you. I stayed where I was, saying nothing. When he was gone, I unlocked my phone and read through the full itinerary. First city check-in, 9 a.m., the day after tomorrow. His wedding, 3 p.m., the day after tomorrow. I'd be on a train to another city by the time he was exchanging rings. And he still thought I'd be waiting right here for him to come back and explain. The next afternoon, Clara showed up anyway. She wore a white dress, a half-veil covering part of her face. He was with her. I was going over tomorrow's cue sequence with the lighting designer. I heard the side door swing open, glanced up, then went back to work. Stage manager Marsh. He called out to me. I ignored him, making notes on the tech sheet. Ellie. He walked over, sharp impatience in his voice. Clara just wants to get a feel for the space. 15 minutes, tops. It won't hold you up long. I set down my pen and looked at him. This afternoon is our final full rehearsal. All departments were notified 2 weeks ago. No adjustments are allowed. But Clara. I get that she wants to see the space. That's not a reason to derail our schedule. His face darkened. Eleanor Marsh, do you hear yourself? I hear myself perfectly. Clara stepped forward then, her voice soft. Never mind. Let's come another day. I don't want to be a bother. She turned as if to leave. Just then, the theater dropped into a full blackout for the scene change. Every light cut out in 3 seconds, plunging the whole space into total darkness. Clara screamed. Ah! Her voice echoed through the empty theater, sharp with panic. The lights came back on quickly. She was curled into his arms, trembling all over. He held her tight, then turned to me, his eyes blazing with anger. You did that on purpose? It's standard technical procedure. We announced the blackout over the PA 3 minutes in advance. The lighting designer stepped in to back me up. We definitely announced it. We even pushed it back 5 minutes because we knew people were on the floor. Clara looked up, her eyes red-rimmed. I'm sorry. I'm just too jumpy. I shouldn't have come. It's okay. We'll go right now. He guided her toward the door. He paused when he passed me. You've really changed, Eleanor. Yeah. You never used to be this cold. I also never used to know how little my kindness was worth. When I'm done with Clara's wedding, we are going to have a serious talk about this attitude of yours. I didn't respond, because I saw the technical director waving me over. Stage manager Marsh, everything's calibrated. We're ready to start. I nodded and turned toward the control booth. His voice carried from behind me. I mean it, Eleanor. Keep this up, and our relationship is going to fall apart. I hit the button to start the rehearsal. The stage lights came up one by one. The music drowned out whatever else he had to say. By the time rehearsal ended, they were gone. I was packing up to leave when the theater manager walked over. Ellie, someone's here to see you. I looked up and saw the producer standing in the doorway. She was holding a folder. Ms. Marsh, there are a few details in the tour contract I need to go over with you in person. I followed her to the green room. She opened the folder and pointed to a clause. I'll need your signature here. And I just want to confirm one more time, no time off mid-tour. Are you sure that works for you? I'm sure. She glanced at me. There's something I've been meaning to ask. When we reached out before, was it you who said a long-term project wouldn't work out? I blinked in surprise. When did you reach out? 3 months ago. I called you, but a man answered. He said you were getting married soon and a long project wouldn't be a good fit. My fingers tightened. What else did he say? He said you'd be cutting back on out-of-town work after you got married, and hoped we'd understand. The producer paused. I assumed it was your call, so I didn't follow up. When you reached out to us this time, I figured there must have been some miscommunication. I said nothing. She went on. But now that you're joining us, we're thrilled. We've always respected your work. I signed and handed the papers back to her. Thank you. I'll be there the day after tomorrow, on time. It was dark by the time I left the theater. I stood at the entrance, looking at the lights across the street. So he'd been planning my life for me this whole time. Cutting back on out-of-town work after marriage. What a thoughtful arrangement. Only no one had ever bothered to ask if that's what I wanted. My phone rang. It was a text from him. Ellie, tomorrow's the wedding with Clara. I know you're upset, but it's really just a ceremony. As soon as it's over, I'll come find you. We'll talk everything through. I stared at the message and smiled slowly. Then I sent 2 words back. Don't bother. After hitting send, I deleted his contact entirely. Tomorrow, while he was getting married, I'd already be on my way to another city. And he would never know. What my fine had really meant was, fine. Go marry her. I'm leaving too. The night before the wedding, he came back to the theater. This time, he didn't warn anyone he was coming. I was doing a final equipment check when I heard someone call my name. Stage manager Marsh? Someone's here for you. I turned around. He was standing in the wing entrance, holding an iced latte from that shop I used to go to all the time. Still working? He walked over and held out the drink. Drink it while it's still warm. It's chilly out. I didn't take it. He blinked, then set the latte down on the control console. Ellie, tomorrow I'm going through with the wedding for Clara. Before that, I want to talk to you properly. I powered down the equipment and turned to face him. Talk about what? Our future. He looked at me with a seriousness I rarely saw. I know I've put you through a lot lately. But you have to believe me, Clara's just a detour in my life. You're the one I want to spend forever with. I said nothing. He went on. As soon as tomorrow's wedding is over, I'll come straight back to you. We'll reschedule the license, rebook the reception. I promise it'll be even bigger and better than before. No need. Ellie. I said no. No rebooked reception. No marriage license. Nothing. His face went rigid. You don't mean that. I do. But we've been planning this for 3 years. How can you just call it off? And how can you just push it back whenever you want? That shut him up. After a few seconds of silence, he said, I admit I handled this badly. But Clara's situation is really unique. Her only wish right now is to marry me in a wedding dress. If I say no, she might really break. So you said yes? Yeah. But it's just a ceremony, Ellie. The legal marriage is still yours. Doesn't that prove how much you mean to me? I looked at him. Then why am I the one who has to wait? Why not her? He blinked. What? Why am I always the one who has to back down? Every single time? Because you're stronger than her. You understand? I don't want to understand anymore. I cut him off. For 3 years, I've understood you making up for your guilt over her. I've understood you tending to her feelings. I've understood you changing our plans for her now and then. But I never thought, in the end, even our wedding would get handed to her. He grew frantic. Ellie, I'm not asking you to give up the wedding. Just push it back 6 months. To you it might just be 6 months. To me, it's you putting her before me. Again. But she's going through so much more than you right now. So I just have to wait? Forever? 3 years ago, you left me in a blizzard because she was in more danger. I believed you. I forgave you. Now I see you never changed at all. You still think whenever Clara needs something, I should step back. Because I'm strong. Because I'm rational. Because I don't beg and cry like she does. He had nothing to say. I turned to pack up my things. So I've decided to stop waiting. Ellie. Go have your wedding with her. I wish you both the best. With that, I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. He grabbed my arm. Where are you going? It's none of your business anymore. Eleanor, don't be ridiculous. I'm not being ridiculous. I'm just doing what you've always done for me. I wrenched my arm free. Making my own decisions. Thunder rumbled as I stepped outside the theater. I paused for a second. Before, every time it thundered, he'd rush home to be with me. But today, I didn't wait. I hailed a cab and went straight to the hotel I'd booked. Tomorrow morning, I'd meet up with the tour team. It was my last night in this city. At 3 in the morning, my phone rang. I answered, half asleep. Ellie, where are you? It was him. Thunder rumbled in the background. It's thundering out. I went to your place, but you weren't there. I woke up fully. I'm at a hotel. A hotel? Why are you at a hotel? I'm traveling for work tomorrow. He was quiet for a few seconds. Traveling? Where? For how long? It's none of your business. Eleanor. I hung up. My phone rang again right away. I turned it off. I laid back down, but I couldn't fall asleep again. When I closed my eyes, all I saw was the last 3 years. He'd memorized the end time of every show, waiting for me at the theater beforehand. He'd bring me late-night snacks when I worked overtime. He'd rented out the whole theater for my birthday, just to surprise me. He'd been so good to me. So good that everyone thought he truly loved me. But no one knew that every time Clara showed up, I dropped down his list of priorities. It wasn't that he didn't love me. It was that he loved being the man who didn't have to choose. He wanted to give me the legal marriage and give Clara the ceremony. He wanted both of us to be happy. But he never stopped to think I didn't want a legal title. I wanted him to think of me first, when he had to choose. Not make me wait every single time. I woke up at 7 sharp. I packed my bags and checked out. I took a cab to the Tour Teens Hotel. The city woke up slowly outside the cab window. I looked at all the familiar streets. The theater I'd worked at for 5 years was here. The cafe where we'd first met was here. The riverfront where we'd watched 100 sunsets was here. But starting today, none of it had anything to do with me anymore. The producer was waiting when I arrived. Ms. Marsh, you're early. She smiled and handed me a packet. Here's the detailed itinerary for the first city. Look it over, and come find me if you have questions. I took the packet and skimmed through it quickly. Looks good. Great. Oh, and we have an all-hands meeting at 3 p.m. today. We'll introduce everyone then. 3 p.m. Exactly the time of his wedding. I nodded. I'll be there. The producer glanced at me. Ms. Marsh, do you mind if I ask you something? Go ahead. I thought you were getting married. Now you're joining this project last minute. Is your family okay with it? I smiled a little. There's no family to ask anymore. She blinked, then caught on. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked. It's fine. It's all in the past now. At 2 p.m., I changed and headed to the meeting. Passing the hotel lobby, I saw a news segment playing on the wall-mounted TV. A familiar scene flashed across the screen. It was the theater I'd worked at. A reporter was covering a special wedding being held there that day. The shot cut away. I saw him. He was standing at the theater entrance in a sharp suit. Clara stood beside him, her veil in place. She was in a wedding dress, her arm linked through his. The reporter was interviewing him. Why did you choose to have the wedding at a theater? He smiled. Because this place has special meaning for us. The reporter asked another question. We heard your fiancée was in a car accident. How is her recovery going? He glanced at Clara, his eyes soft with tenderness. She's so strong. I'll be right by her side, always. I stood in front of the TV and watched the whole interview. Then I turned and left the lobby. On my way to the conference room, the producer texted me. Ms. Marsh, the meeting's starting half an hour early. Can you make it now? I checked the time. It was 2:30. His wedding must be starting soon. I texted back. On my way. Everyone was already seated when I walked into the conference room. I found a seat and sat down. The producer started introducing the team. I listened carefully, jotting down everyone's name and role. No one knew that on the other side of the city, a man was exchanging rings with someone else right now. No one knew that the woman he thought was waiting for him was sitting in a different conference room, about to start a whole new life. When the meeting ended, the producer clapped me on the shoulder. "Welcome to the team, Ms. Marsh." I nodded. "Thank you." Back in my room that night, I turned on my phone. Dozens of missed calls. All from him. And dozens of text messages. I didn't read any of them. I deleted them all, then blocked his number. Starting today, we had nothing to do with each other. The next morning, I boarded the train to the first city with the rest of the team. The scenery flew by outside the window. I leaned back in my seat and closed my eyes, but my mind was wide awake. I hadn't slept well the night before. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him standing at the theater entrance in that suit. I heard him telling the camera that the place had special meaning for them. But it was the place I'd worked for 5 years. The place he'd waited for me after work 100 times. The place he'd said he'd stay by my side forever. Now it was his wedding venue with Clara. How ironic. "Ms. Marsh? Would you like some water?" The young assistant next to me held out a bottle of water. I took it and thanked her. "Nervous about your first long tour?" she asked with a smile. I shook my head. "Not really. The producer says you have a great reputation in the industry. We're all really excited to work with you." I didn't say anything back. I just looked out the window. I thought about 3 years ago, on a train just like this one. He'd sat next to me and said he'd come with me on every work trip from then on. And he'd followed through. Whenever he wasn't swamped, he'd come with me out of town. He'd wait in the station lounge while I had meetings. He'd wait in the hotel room while I finished rehearsals. Everyone said he was so thoughtful. But looking back now, he just wanted to make sure I was always within his control. My phone buzzed. I thought it was work, but it was an unknown number. I opened it. It was from him. "Ellie, I know you blocked me, but I have to say this. Yesterday's wedding was just keeping a promise. Clara and I never got a license. Legally, we're nothing. Where are you? I'll come find you." I read it, then deleted the message. Then I blocked that number too. I leaned against the window and drifted off to sleep. When I woke up, we'd arrived. The first city was a coastal town. The air smelled like the ocean. The team's hotel was close to the venue. I dropped off my bags and headed straight to the theater. I needed to get familiar with the equipment and the workflow. The venue was huge, the best performing arts center in the city. I stood in the middle of the empty stage, looking up at the banks of lighting rigs overhead. A sense of steadiness settled over me, the kind I hadn't felt in a long time. This was my world. No guessing. No compromising. No waiting. Just doing the work, and doing it well. "Ms. Marsh? The control system here is a little different from what you're used to. Want to walk through it first?" The technical director walked over and asked. "Sure. I'd appreciate that." I followed him into the control room. The walls were covered with operation guides for all the equipment. I jotted down every detail carefully. I worked straight from afternoon until 10 at night. By the time I got back to the hotel, I was exhausted. But I felt calm inside. It was a feeling I hadn't known in far too long. After a shower, I laid in bed and reached for my phone out of habit. I realized I hadn't thought about him once all day. I hadn't waited for a text from him. I didn't even care what he was doing right now. So this was what it felt like to let someone go. It wasn't some dramatic, explosive breakup. It was just one day, realizing you didn't care anymore. My phone buzzed again. This time it was from one of his friends. "Ellie, what's going on with you and Ash? He's been looking for you non-stop these past 2 days. He even cut the wedding short. Can't you two just talk it out? Why does it have to be like this?" I stared at the message and smiled. So in their eyes, I was the one being unreasonable. I didn't reply. I just deleted the conversation. Then I left every social group we were both in. Starting today, I wanted nothing to do with that circle anymore. It took him 3 days to track down my new number. I was at rehearsal that day when my phone rang. I hesitated when I saw the unknown caller ID, then answered. Ellie, it's me. His voice sounded exhausted. I said nothing. Where are you? I'll come to you. Don't bother. Ellie, can we meet and talk? There are things I have to explain to you. There's nothing to explain. But. Didn't you have your wedding? Congratulations. With that, I hung up. My phone rang again right away. I turned it off. The producer walked over. Ms. Marsh, we're starting rehearsal soon. You ready? I nodded. Whenever you are. Rehearsal went smoothly. The new team gelled faster than I'd expected. Everyone was professional. No need for me to repeat myself. Afterward, the producer took everyone out to dinner. At the restaurant, everyone chatted about the stops ahead. Someone asked me what the most memorable project I'd ever worked on was. I thought about it. Probably a musical I did 5 years ago. It had so many technical challenges. We prepped for 3 months. Opening night, every single cue landed perfectly. During curtain call, I stood back at the console watching the cast take their bows, and suddenly all the hard work felt worth it. When I finished, I realized I hadn't mentioned him once in the whole story. And he'd been at the theater with me almost every day back then. But looking back now, the thing that had given me real pride was the work itself. Not having someone there with me. Back at the hotel that night, I turned on my phone. Dozens of unread messages. From him, from his mom, from his friends. Even my parents had texted, asking what was going on. I read through them all. They all said the same thing, more or less. Telling me not to be impulsive, saying he'd tried so hard to make things right. Some said Clara was going through so much, I should be more understanding. I read them all, but didn't reply to a single one. Instead, I sent my parents a separate text. Mom, Dad, we broke up. Don't bring him up again. I'm working out of town right now. I'll call regularly. Don't worry about me. After sending it, I deleted all the well-meaning messages. Then I set my profile to private. The past could stay in the past. The official shows started the next day. Audiences in the first city loved it. I stood at the console, watching the performance unfold. Every cue hit perfectly. Every transition was seamless. This was what I was good at. After the show, the producer made a point of praising me. Ms. Marsh, your work is flawless. We made the right call bringing you on. I smiled a little. The team's great to work with. Oh, and our next stop is up north. It'll be cold there, pack warm clothes. Got it. Thanks for the heads up. When I walked out of the venue, I saw a familiar figure standing by the entrance. It was him. He was in a black coat, holding a bouquet of flowers. When he saw me, he walked over right away. Ellie. I stopped. I hadn't thought he'd actually track me down. How did you know I was here? I asked people at your old theater. They said you joined a tour. He held out the flowers. I know I messed up. Give me a chance to explain everything properly. I looked at the flowers. They were my favorite kind, once. But now they just felt foreign. No need to explain. We're done. Ellie. I mean it. We're not right for each other. His face fell. Is this about Clara? I already told you, it was just a ceremony. It's not about her. It's about realizing you never actually respected my choices. You turned down a job for me without asking. You decided our wedding date on your own. You mapped out my whole life for me, no input needed. You thought you were doing what was best for me, but really you just wanted me to live life on your terms. He froze. I didn't. You did. You've always been like that. I looked him in the eye. That's why we won't work. Really? With that, I turned and walked away. He ran after me and grabbed my arm. Ellie, give me a chance. I can change. Don't bother. I pulled my arm free. I don't love you anymore. When the words left my mouth, I was a little surprised myself. Because I realized it was true. I didn't love him anymore. He stood frozen, the flowers slipping from his hand to the ground. I walked away and never looked back. He didn't give up. For the next 2 weeks, he showed up in every city we stopped in. Sometimes outside the venue. Sometimes in the hotel lobby. Once, he even showed up right in the middle of rehearsal. But I never spoke to him again. I just acted like he wasn't there. I never replied to any of his messages. The team noticed. The producer pulled me aside and asked if I was having trouble. I told her it was fine, just an ex being persistent. She frowned. Want me to call the police? I shook my head. No, he's just bitter. He'll get over it eventually. But it turned out I'd underestimated how stubborn he was. Week 3, we arrived in an inland city. After the show that night, I headed back to the hotel as usual. When I got to my door, he was sitting in a chair in the hallway. He stood up right away when he saw me. Ellie, can we talk? Please? I ignored him and swiped my key card. He stepped in front of the door. 5 minutes. Just hear me out. Not interested. Ellie, I know I messed up so many things. But I really want to make it right. I haven't talked to Clara since the wedding. I've spent every minute looking for you, just to tell you I choose you. I looked at him. But the day before we were supposed to get our license, you chose her. That was because she needed you more. Because something terrible happened to her. Because you thought I could wait. But have you ever wondered why I'm always the one who has to sacrifice? He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I went on. You think you were so good to me. You remembered what I didn't eat, you knew I was scared of thunder, you brought me snacks when I worked late. But all those little gestures don't make up for the choices you made when it mattered. 3 years ago you left me in a blizzard. 3 years later you handed her our wedding. You never changed. You just got better at dressing up your selfishness as kindness. His face went pale. I'm not selfish. You are. You've always thought that if you make up for it well enough afterward, I should just forgive you. But you never stopped to think some hurts can't be fixed. With that, I pushed past him and went into my room. As I closed the door behind me, I heard him speak from the hallway. I won't give up, Ellie. I'll wait as long as it takes for you to come back. I leaned back against the door and closed my eyes. I was suddenly so tired. Not physically tired. Just tired in my chest. Why couldn't he just understand? I didn't want him to wait. I didn't want him to make it up to me. I just wanted him to think of me first, when he had to choose. But he couldn't do that. So there was no going back for us. The next day, the producer found me. Ms. Marsh, there's something I need to talk to you about. Go ahead. Someone came to me yesterday. Said your ex has been harassing you, and it's affecting the team's work. I blinked in surprise. Who said that? The technical director. He said you've seemed off these past couple days. Wondered if it was about this. I was quiet for a few seconds. I'm sorry. I'll handle it. It won't affect my work. The producer looked at me. Ms. Marsh, you're an incredible professional. I don't want personal issues getting in the way of your career. If you need help with anything, just say the word. I nodded. Thank you. I know what to do. That night, I sent him a message. I used email, since I'd blocked every other way he could reach me. This is the last time I'll speak to you. If you keep showing up and harassing me, I will call the police. We're done. Please accept that. After sending it, I deleted the email account. From that point on, there was no way for him to reach me. The next week, he didn't show up again, just like I'd said. I could finally focus on my work again. The tour went smoothly. In every city, I got to the venue early to learn the equipment. I coordinated with the local technical crews. I made sure every show went off without a hitch. Slowly, I realized I was loving this life more and more. No one making me wait. No one asking me to compromise. No one telling me I should understand. I just had to do my job and do it well. This was the life I wanted. Week 4, we arrived at another stop. It was a beautiful southern city. The venue sat right on the river, floor-to-ceiling windows looking out over the water. During a rehearsal break, I stood by the window looking out at the river. The producer walked over. "Ms. Marsh, what are your plans after this tour wraps?" I thought about it. Haven't really decided yet. We're already planning the next tour. If you're interested, we'd love to have you back. I turned to look at her. When's the next one? 3 months from now. It runs for 2 years. I didn't hesitate. Yeah, I'm in. The producer smiled. Perfect. We're so glad to have you. After the show that night, I stood by the river, letting the wind blow over me. My phone buzzed. It was a text from a completely unknown number. "Ellie, I asked your old coworkers. They told me you joined a tour. The one I turned down for you, right? I finally get it. You weren't just upset. You were really leaving me. I'm so sorry, Ellie." I read the text and smiled slowly. Then I deleted it and blocked the number. 3 months later, I was back in that city. Not because of him. Because the new tour was kicking off there. I got off the plane and went straight to the hotel. When I passed my old theater, I glanced over. The posters out front had changed. My name wasn't there anymore. It was a strange feeling. Like I'd truly said goodbye to the past. I dropped my bags at the hotel, and the producer texted me to come to the conference room. Said there were new team members to introduce. I changed clothes and headed over. Quite a few people were already seated in the room. Some familiar faces from the last tour, some new ones. The producer was up front, walking everyone through the project details. I found a seat and sat down. This tour runs for 2 years, hitting 5 continents. It's a lot more demanding than the last one, so we'll need everyone to work together closely. As she spoke, her gaze swept across everyone in the room. First, I'd like to introduce our stage director, Ms. Marsh. I stood up and nodded to everyone. Hi everyone. Looking forward to working with you all over the next 2 years. The meeting ran for 2 hours. Afterward, the producer pulled me aside. Ms. Marsh, there's something I wanted to run by you. Go ahead. After the last tour ended, someone reached out to me. Said they wanted to see you. My chest tightened a little. Who? A man who said he was your ex said he had something really important to tell you. I didn't tell him your schedule, but he said if you were open to it, I could let him know. I was quiet for a few seconds. No. I don't want to see him. The producer nodded. Got it. I'll turn him down flat then. Thank you. Walking out of the conference room, I thought to myself, he was still waiting for me. Waiting for 3 months. But what did that have to do with me? When he'd made me wait, had he ever cared about how I felt? No. So his waiting now didn't matter to me either. Back in my room that night, I opened my laptop to go through work emails. A strange email popped up. The sender was him. I hesitated, then opened it. Ellie, I know you don't want to see me, so I'm writing this in an email. These past 3 months, I've thought every day about what I did wrong. And I finally get it. I always thought if I was good to you, you'd always be there waiting for me. I thought you were strong, you were rational, you'd understand every choice I made. But I never stopped to ask if any of that goodness was what you actually wanted. I turned down that job for you because I was scared of losing you. I told you to explain to the family because I didn't want to face their disappointment. I asked you to wait 6 months because I thought I could make everyone happy. But now I know the person I wronged most of all was you. Ellie, I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to know you made the right call. Every single part of it. You deserve to chase your career, not wait around for someone who doesn't know how to appreciate you. I hope someday you meet someone who truly sees you. And I hope you forget about me, the arrogant fool I was. I'm sorry. And thank you for loving me, once. I read the whole email and felt nothing. Not relief, not sadness. Just calm. Like I was reading a story about someone else. I closed my email and went back to work. The city lights blazed outside the window. Same as they'd been 3 months ago. But I wasn't the person who'd stayed for him anymore. The next day, the new tour officially started. I flew to the first city with the rest of the team. As the plane took off, I watched the city shrink below me. I felt calm. I didn't know when I'd be back this time. But I knew whenever that was, I wouldn't go looking for him. Because our story was well and truly over. The 2-year tour was hard work, but it was fulfilling. I went to so many places I'd never been. Saw so many things I'd never seen. Met so many interesting people. Slowly, I realized I hadn't thought about him in a very long time. Sometimes late at night, I'd remember little bits of us. But those memories didn't hurt anymore. Like watching an old movie. I still knew the plot, but it didn't move me anymore. 2 years later, the tour ended. I was back in that city again. This time I didn't stay. I was just catching a connecting flight to my next project. While waiting at the airport, I saw a familiar figure. It was him. He stood a little ways off, holding a cup of coffee. Talking to a girl next to him. The girl was smiling, happy. I glanced over, then looked away. Went back to reading the papers in my hand. No ache in my chest. No bitterness. Just, so he'd moved on too. Good. We both had new lives now. The boarding announcement came on. I grabbed my bags and walked toward the gate. His voice carried from behind me. Ellie? I stopped. I turned around. He stood a few feet away, disbelief written all over his face. It really is you. He walked over. You're back? I nodded. Just a layover. Leaving soon. Oh, I see. He smiled, awkward. How have you been? Good. Good. We stood there in silence for a few seconds. Finally, I spoke first. I should board. Oh, right. Yeah. He stepped aside. I walked a couple steps, then turned back. You too. Take care. With that, I turned and walked through the gate. I didn't look back. After the plane took off, I leaned against the window, watching the city fade below the clouds. I felt calm. That meeting, we'd been like 2 polite strangers. Each heading our own way. The producer texted me. Ms. Marsh, I sent the next project details to your email. Look it over when you have a minute. I texted back. Got it. I'll look when we land. The clouds were bright white outside, the sun shining clear. I put my phone back in my pocket and closed my eyes. His face didn't cross my mind. Just the stage in the next city, and all those lights waiting to be turned on. From now on, I'd be the one holding the light for myself.